these are viruses that can, get this, persist in semen.
Yep.
And potentially be sexually transmitted.
Which, to be fair, we knew about with some viruses already.
Yeah, like HIV and herpes.
Right, those are the classic examples, right?
But it turns out, and this is where it gets crazy, it's way more common than we thought.
Oh yeah, way more.
And we're talking about a whole bunch of different viruses. Some of them you've probably heard of, some maybe not. But this new study in the Lancet Microbe really kind of throws a wrench in our understanding of, well, how viruses spread.
Absolutely. For a long time, like you said, we kind of had this narrow view of which viruses could linger in semen. It was mainly those chronic infections, the ones that stick around for the long haul. But now, thanks to this study, we're seeing that a whole range of viruses, including ones that cause those sudden hit you out of nowhere acute infections, can also hang out in semen.
Okay, and they found that 22.
A whole 22 viruses can actually persist in semen.
After the initial infection.
Even after you think you've kicked it, it might still be there.
Crazy. And even crazier, 9 of these viruses. We know for sure they can be sexually transmitted.
Confirmed.
So I think for our listeners, let's put some names to these viruses. What are some of the ones that, might sound familiar?
Sure, so you've got some of the heavy hitters. Marburg.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Mpox.
Okay.
West Nile. All confirmed to be sexually transmissible.
Wow. And are there anywhere we think it might be possible, but we're not 100% sure yet?
Yeah, actually. Crimean Congo hemorrhagic fever.
Oh, jeez.
And hepatitis A. Those are 2 where the evidence is pointing in that direction, but we need more research to say definitively.
Got it. Thinking back to the pandemic, I remember there being a lot of talk about whether COVID-19 could be sexually transmitted.
Oh, yeah, that was a big concern.
So did this study look at that at all?
They did, and the results were actually kind of reassuring. They did detect the virus, SARS-CoV-2, that's the official name for it, in semen samples. But they found no evidence to suggest that it could actually be transmitted through sex.
And speaking of shedding, this study also found that the length of time a virus sticks around, like how long it keeps shedding, varies a lot too, right?
Absolutely. Some viruses are in and out, a quick visit. Others, they overstay their welcome.
So what's the range we're looking at here?
Well, on the short end, you've got viruses like West Nile and dengue. They seem to clear out within a few weeks. But then you've got the long haulers, Ebola and Zika. Those can persist in semen for over 2 years.
2 years?
Yeah. It's pretty remarkable.
I know we've covered a lot of ground here, but there's one more thing I wanted to touch on. You mentioned public health, and there's actually been a concerning development this year. The Oropouche virus outbreak.
Oh, yeah, that's a tricky one.
It's happening in Central and South America, right?
Right. And this study, the one we've been talking about, it actually suggests there's a real possibility of sexual transmission with Oropouche.
So, all of this, it really underscores the need for more research, doesn't it?
Big time. We need to know more about these viruses, how they persist, how they transmit, everything. That knowledge is essential if we're going to develop effective vaccines and antivirals.
Absolutely. And it's not just about the science, right?
No, not at all. There's a huge public health component here, too. How do we educate people about these risks? How do we develop testing strategies? How do we change our approach to sexual health to account for these new findings?
Right. It's a whole new way of thinking about viruses and their potential impact on reproductive health. And honestly, it's a little overwhelming.
I get that. There's a lot to take in.
All right, well, on that note, we're going to wrap up for today. But, this is a conversation that's just getting started. So stay tuned for more deep dives as the research continues to unfold.
And in the meantime, stay safe out there, everybody.
See you next time.